Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's really great to have you here hanging out with me. You know, relationships work best when you really take the time to get to know someone, so this way you can make sure to be aware of the things that make them happy and feel loved, and you can also stay away from the things that trigger them and put them in a bad mood. So in this video, I want to give you the goods on each sign of the zodiac and what annoys them. And rather than make a big list of the many possibilities for each sign, I chose to give you one thing for each sign that might not be that obvious, but that is really important when it comes to keeping a strong connection with them. For this one, you can check their sun sign, moon sign, and Mars placement. Okay, no more wasting time. Here are the goods on what annoys each sign of the zodiac so you can stay away from that behavior. That way you can minimize the arguments and maximize the love, fun, and the connection. Let's go. Okay, Aries. So the one thing about Aries that you need to know is that although they are a fire sign and they enjoy being spontaneous and pushing the boundaries of life, and they're definitely open to the many forms of excitement that life has to offer, they get very heated when someone is breaking societal rules. And with that line of thinking, the biggest rule being broken that really annoys them and triggers them to anger is when they see someone taking advantage of someone else who is seemingly less powerful than they are. Yes, Aries is big on achieving their goals and is usually focused on their personal ambitions, but they will always take the time to step in and make a stand for anyone who can't stand up for themselves. So just know that if you're hanging with an Aries and they catch you expressing any sort of bullying energy, then you're gonna have a conflict on your hands. So when you're with an Aries and you wanna stay connected and stay in their good graces, make sure to be conscious of how you are treating the people around you. They are not down with people that are rude or bullying, and they don't mind getting involved in something that has nothing to do with them. You may think it's none of their business, but they will make it their business. Now, Taurus, there is really one big thing for Taurus that is important to know when it comes to what annoys them. It's someone who does not keep their word. And yes, someone who doesn't keep their word pretty much annoys all of us, but this is a very serious deal breaker for Taurus. A Taurus will listen to the details of what you say very closely. So if they find that your actions don't match your words, they'll get very irritated and confront you about your inconsistencies, and then you have a fight on your hands. So if you want to keep the connection with the Taurus running smoothly, make sure that you do what you say and that your actions match your words consistently. Because if you try and slide something by them, they will catch it. They'll call you out and they'll put you on trial and see if you can defend yourself and explain why you say one thing and do another. Okay, Gemini. With Geminis, one of the main things that annoys them is when people jump to conclusions about them without getting all the information regarding the situation first. Geminis are all about communication, so they get very frustrated when someone doesn't take the time to get informed before they finalize their opinions about them. So if you're interacting with a Gemini and you feel like something is off, or you've seen something go down that seems one way, make sure that you take the time to have a conversation with them and get all of the necessary information before you jump to conclusions about their character. Gemini gets a bad rap for being two-faced or all over the place emotionally, but that characterization is not really fair. So to bring out the best in the connection with your Gemini, make sure you are fully informed before making any judgment calls on who they are. And know that they are open to and ready for any conversation to clear the air if you approach them from a place of having an open mind. But if you show up already convicting them of a crime before hearing their side of the story, things will not run smoothly. Communicate with them before you hate on them. Okay, I know that was cheesy, but anyway, it's true. Now, Cancers have one very specific trigger that I want to make sure that everyone knows about, because who wants to interact with a Cancer when they're in a bad mood? No one. They are the sweetest, most loving people when they're in good spirits, but when they get triggered, they can go directly to that other side of the sweet disposition, to an intensely difficult person to get along with. So it's good to know their triggers. This way, you avoid any conflict. And one huge trigger for Cancers is when someone is trying to tell them what to do that has no business doing so. I'll tell you what I mean by that. If you're their boss and they're clear that it is their job to hear you out, then sure, give them whatever advice or whatever directions you would like to give them, and they will listen and do their best to do their job. But if you are just someone that thinks that they know better than them and you start trying to tell them what they should be doing, then they would prefer you keep your opinion to yourself. So a great solution for this is if you're interacting with a Cancer and you have a suggestion for them, say, hey, I have a suggestion about that. If you'd like to hear it, let me know. This way they can say, yes, sure, what you got? Or thanks, but no thanks. Then you can continue to experience that beautiful soul of theirs, but come at them with some know-it-all energy when they don't ask you for help or your opinion. Then be ready to be blocked out of that hard shell of theirs or wounded by their sharp crab claws. All right, Leos. Leos are pretty self-sufficient and all about live and let live. They have strong opinions, but they also understand and appreciate that people are different, and as long as you stay out of their lane, they will stay out of yours. Now that leads me to one of Leo's biggest annoyances, and that is telling them no. Leos are all about finding a way to do the things that they want to do. So telling them no without an option or alternative to that no is the fastest way to make sure that they avoid you at all costs in the future. If you're interacting with the Leo and they suggest something for the two of you to do, don't come at them with a hard, direct no. If it's something you don't want to do, then focus on communicating to them what it is you do want to do, or what the compromise would look like where both of you can end up satisfied. But if you just tell them no, then they're just gonna put a big no symbol on your face, and from that point on, don't expect to experience that big, beautiful Leo energy. Okay, Virgos. You know that the earth signs, they live in a world that pays very close attention to timelines and time in general. And the one thing that Virgo gets very annoyed by is someone who is inconsiderate of their time. Virgos fill their day with many tasks that they consider to be very important. So if they feel like you don't respect that their time is precious, then you will find yourself in the presence of a very annoyed Virgo. And that is not a good place to be. Once they have categorized you as a nuisance, then it is very difficult to get back in their good graces. So pay close attention when a Virgo is sharing with you what they are willing to offer and what they need for themselves when it comes to time spent together and time spent independently of each other, so that way they can work on the things in their life that are important to them. Because if you start to become a distraction from their goals that they hold very dear to themselves, then you will have an uphill battle when it comes to staying connected. So, simple solution. Always communicate with your Virgo and come to a mutual agreement. And I mean mutual, meaning both people are satisfied with the outcome on what works for the both of you regarding time spent together, and stick to it. Okay, Libras. You know, whenever I say Libras, I always smile because two of my closest family members are Libras and they crack me up with all of their Libraisms. So I have a very special place in my heart for Libras. And with Libras, one thing that you can be sure annoys them is loud, abrasive, bossy people. A Libra is not trying to have you come and disrupt their energy. So if you roll up at a 10 with a Libra attempting to take control of the situation, they will for sure put as much distance between you and themselves as possible. Remember, Libra is a cardinal sign, and they aren't about being bossed around by anyone. They have a very specific way that they like things done, and the overall rule of thumb with them is let's keep this running smoothly and with as little drama as possible. So the best way to keep the connection going with the Libra is to discuss decisions before you make them. Now, they appreciate strong personalities that are confident in their opinion because it helps them trust your judgment, and it also helps them to finalize their choices. But being bossy and loud and abrasive with your energy will get you nowhere. Okay, Scorpios aren't as easily triggered as the other water signs. Or let me correct that. At least when it comes to being triggered enough to outwardly react, they have a higher threshold in general. But there is one thing that annoys them that you should be conscious of if you want to stay in their good graces. And this is when someone is not respecting their personal space. Scorpios don't appreciate it when someone is speaking too closely to their face or continually touching them when they're interacting with them, unless of course you've earned that type of relationship with them. They just don't respond well to invasive energy. So be aware of your surroundings when it comes to interacting with a Scorpio and read their body language. They will make it very clear when they are cool with you getting a little closer. And once you two have that type of relationship, they're actually very physically expressive and affectionate, but you have to earn that pass with them. So until you have, keep a clear line of respect when it comes to personal space, and you should be good to go. All right, Sagittarius is another sign that for sure brings a smile to my face because they are pretty easygoing, but when something does annoy them, it really annoys them. And I just so happen to really enjoy big, expressive personalities because I really love to laugh. And Sagittarius, you all really crack me up because when you decide to go, you go big. And the one thing that really annoys Sagittarius is someone that is pointing out or complaining about a problem, but not bringing any solution. solutions. This really sends a Sagittarius through the roof. Sagittarius is known for being optimistic. Even Nicki Minaj, who is a Sagittarius with Virgo moon, by the way, has the lyric in her song Barbie Tings, Sagittarius, so you know I'm an optimist. Now, if you come to an optimist with some pessimistic outlook, meaning complaining about something or just pointing out issues, and you aren't bringing any sort of constructive way to handle these things that you're complaining about, then you may get cracked in the face with a Chun-Li bun. You know, I love some Nicki Minaj, and Sagittarius with Virgo moon does not play. What you see with that chart is exactly what you get for sure. So if you're gonna approach a Sagittarius with a problem, make sure you also have a proposed solution, and you two should be good to go. Okay, Capricorns, the one thing that can and will really piss off a Capricorn is someone that does not mind their business. A Capricorn is very particular about who they let into their personal space. So they feel like if it doesn't directly concern you, then why are you concerned? Asking a Capricorn personal questions is okay. Obviously, they're not gonna jump down your throat. But if you have a commentary on their life that you choose to share with someone else and it gets back to them, you more than likely won't be on their list of potential friends. And if you find yourself in a situation where you're coming to a Capricorn complaining or emotionally responding to something someone else said about them, you're gonna get the ugly side of Capricorn. And when they go dark, it ain't sexy. So with a Capricorn, it's best to always get the facts from them before jumping to any conclusions or going behind their back to try and get information. This is similar to what annoys Gemini. The difference is if you bring the questions to Gemini, they really won't mind answering them and setting the record straight. With Capricorn, they respect someone that goes directly to the source, but they also will make sure that you know very clearly that they reserve the right to say none of your business and will pretty much expect you to be okay with that. Obviously, if it's something that involves both of you and has an effect on you as well, they will have no problem being completely transparent. But if it has nothing at all to do with you and you're just being nosy and you don't have that type of close relationship with them, nope. They are not feeling that attempted invasion of privacy. Okay, with an Aquarius, one major thing that really annoys them is waiting for anyone or anything. Now, it's interesting. It's not necessarily because they aren't really patient. It's more because they just like constantly doing things and having something to focus their mental energy on. So sitting around and just waiting is not really their thing. Now, if they have to wait, they will find a way to focus on something else until they can get what they want. So it's good to know if you want to keep a good flow with an Aquarius that when they want something, they are not too excited by the idea of waiting for it. So the best thing to do with an Aquarius when they are frustrated by having to wait for something or someone is to assist them in finding a way to shorten the wait time, or do your best to get them excited by something else so they're having a good time while they're waiting, as opposed to just sitting in the moment of waiting. The cool thing about them is that they're pretty clever when it comes to always finding a way to get what they want with a quickness, but those rare moments where they have to wait and just stand around and wait, you more than likely won't be getting the best version of them. So if their mood drastically shifts during a frustrated moment of waiting, try and be compassionate and understand that waiting just is not in their DNA. Okay, now on to Pisces. So what we know about Pisces is that they are heavily motivated by the way that they feel, and they can be opinionated when it comes to the way that they see things, but they won't try and force you to follow their way of being. So it really annoys them when someone comes along attempting to get them to change who they are to fit the standards that this person thinks the Pisces should live up to or live by. Pisces is one of those signs like Libra that can be very different based on what other signs are in their chart. They're heavily motivated by the other signs in their chart because they are a bit changeable and influenced by certain energies. However, the general rule of thumb with Pisces is that they do mostly thrive in an environment where they are not being judged by someone else or where someone else isn't trying to control them. Because if you come at them from a controlling, judgmental angle, you will be met with major opposition. Now, don't get me wrong, Pisces, like I said, can be very opinionated and they don't mind dealing with someone else who also has strong opinions. But if you try and enforce your way of being on them, they will for sure be annoyed and the connection you have with them will begin to dwindle very quickly. So openly express your opinions with Pisces. You don't need to feel like you're walking on eggshells or anything, but make sure that your opinion stays an opinion or a suggestion as opposed to a rule that you expect them to follow without having an open discussion with them. And if you do have an open discussion with them, make the intention reaching a compromise. Don't expect them to swing all the way to your perspective. They work best when meeting somewhere in the middle. Okay, so there you have it. The goods on each sign of the zodiac when it comes to what annoys them. I really hope this information helps you to maintain a connection with the people in your life. If you found the information useful, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks again for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video.